I've been running the same 5-mile loop through Millbrook Park for 3 years. Same time every morning, 5:30 a.m. sharp. I know every crack in the pavement, every bend in the trail, every shadow cast by the old oak trees, or at least I thought I did. It started 2 weeks ago. I was about halfway through my usual route when I noticed another runner behind me. Nothing unusual about that. Plenty of people use the park for exercise. But this guy was keeping perfect pace with me, staying exactly the same distance back no matter how I adjusted my speed. I slowed down to let him pass. He slowed down too. I picked up the pace, so did he. When I finally stopped to tie my shoe, pretending to need a break, I turned around to get a look at him. The trail behind me was empty, just morning mist drifting between the trees. The next day, he was back. Same distance, same perfect synchronization with my stride. This time I was ready. I had my phone out, ready to snap a photo if he tried to disappear again. But every time I turned around, the trail was empty. Yet I could hear the footsteps, steady, rhythmic, matching mine exactly. By the 4th day, I was starting to lose it. I'd barely slept, jumping at every sound outside my apartment. My girlfriend Sarah thought I was having some kind of breakdown. Maybe you should take a break from running, she suggested. But I wouldn't. Running was my routine, my anchor. Without it, I'd completely fall apart. That's when I decided to change my route. I mapped out a new path through the residential area on the other side of town. Different streets, different scenery, different time. 6 a.m. instead of 5. Surely that would solve the problem. But he followed me there too. This time I caught a glimpse of him in a storefront window reflection. Tall, lean build like a serious runner. Dark clothing, baseball cap pulled low. But his face, I couldn't make out his face. It was like looking at a shadow shaped like a person. I confronted him that day, stopped dead in my tracks, spun around and shouted, "What do you want?" My voice echoed off the empty buildings. Nothing. But I swear I felt eyes on me, watching from somewhere I couldn't see. The breaking point came yesterday. I was running through downtown, trying yet another route, when I realised the footsteps weren't just behind me anymore. They were all around me. Footsteps on my left, on my right, even footsteps that seemed to be coming from above, like someone was running on the rooftops, keeping pace with me. I started sprinting, full panic mode. The footsteps multiplied, creating a symphony of runners that existed only in sound. I could hear them breathing, dozens of them, all breathing in perfect unison, all perfectly matched to my terrified gasps. I ran straight home and locked every door, every window. I called in sick to work. I haven't left my apartment since. Here's the thing that's really messing with my head. I looked up my running times on my fitness app. every single run where I heard the footsteps, my pace was exactly 7:12 per mile, not 7:11, not 7:13, exactly 7:12, down to the second. That's not humanly possible. I'm not that consistent. Nobody is. I did some research. Turned out there was a runner who died in Millbrook Park 5 years ago, hit by a drunk driver while jogging at dawn. His name was Marcus Webb, and according to his marathon records, his average pace was 7:12 per mile. I found his obituary. The photo showed a tall, lean man in dark running gear and a baseball cap. The image was grainy, but I could swear it was the same shadow I'd been seeing in windows and reflections. Sarah thinks I'm crazy. She says grief and stress can cause auditory hallucinations, but I know what I heard. I know what I felt. I'm going to run tomorrow, same time, same original route. Not because I'm brave, but because I finally understand what he wants. He's not following me. He's inviting me to run with him. The question is, if I accept that invitation, will I ever stop running? I guess I'll find out at 5:30 a.m. Update. It's 6:45 a.m. now. I'm back home, but I'm not sure how I got here. My fitness app shows I ran 5 miles in exactly 36 minutes. Perfect 7:12 pace. I don't remember running. I don't remember anything after lacing up my shoes. But I feel amazing, better than I've ever felt in years, like I could run forever. I'm a creature of habit. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m, I run the exact same 3-mile route through my neighbourhood, down Maple Street, left on Oak Avenue, through Riverside Park, back up Hill Road and home. Takes me exactly 24 minutes. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I know every house, every crack in a sidewalk, every dog that barks at me from behind chain link fences. Last Thursday started like every other Thursday. I laced up my shoes, stretched on my front porch, and headed down Maple Street. Mrs. Patterson was watering her roses like always. The Thompson kids were riding bikes in her driveway. Everything normal. But when I turned left onto Oak Avenue, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. The street looked the same houses, same parked cars, same broken street lights that's been flickering for months. But there was this weird deja vu feeling, like I'd already run this exact route today. I shook it off and kept going. Through Riverside Park, past the duck pond, over the little wooden bridge. My usual pace felt easy, almost too easy. I wasn't even breathing hard. Then I reached Hill Road and saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. There was a runner ahead of me, about 50 yards up the hill. Same height as me, same build, wearing the exact same neon green running shirt I had on. He was running at my pace, up my street, towards my house. I called out, "Hey!" The runner didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge me at all, just kept running in perfect rhythm. I started sprinting to catch up, but no matter how fast I ran, the distance between us stayed the same. When I reached my street, I watched him turn into my driveway and disappear around the back of my house. My hands were shaking as I unlocked my front door. I searched every room, checked all the windows, looked in the backyard. Nothing, no sign anyone had been there. I convinced myself it was just someone who happened to look familiar. Weird coincidence, nothing more. Tuesday came around and I almost skipped my run, but routine is routine and I needed the exercise. Same time, same route, down Maple Street, Mrs. Patterson watering her roses, left on Oak Avenue, through Riverside Park. And there he was again. Same runner, same shirt, same distance ahead of me. This time I was ready. I had my phone out, ready to record, but when I looked at the screen, the camera wasn't working. Just showed a black screen with the message, "No storage available," even though I had plenty of space. I followed him all the way to my house again. Same thing. He turned into my driveway and vanished. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way he moved, the exact rhythm of his stride. It was too familiar. I pulled up my running app to check my times. Today's run, 24 minutes, 3 miles. Thursday's run, 24 minutes, 3 miles. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold. Both runs showed the exact same GPS route, recorded at the exact same split times down to the second. That's impossible. No one runs with that kind of precision. I decided to test something. On Thursday, I deliberately changed my route. Instead of turning left on Oak Avenue, I went straight, different path, different streets, totally unfamiliar territory. But after 10 minutes of running, I found myself on Oak Avenue anyway. Not like I had turned around or gotten confused. I was just suddenly there, like the streets had rearranged themselves when I wasn't paying attention. And there was the runner again, 50 yards ahead, wearing my shirt. This time I noticed something else. Every person I passed, Mrs. Patterson, the Thompson kids, the jogger with the golden retriever, they were all doing exactly the same thing as before. Same positions, same movements, like actors hitting their marks in a play. I stopped running and watched Mrs. Patterson water her roses. She moved the hose in the exact same position, turned her head at the exact same moment, smiled the exact same smile. Then she reset and did it again and again. The Thompson kids rode their bikes in the exact same figure-8 pattern, over and over. I ran home and locked myself inside, but I kept checking the clock, and something was wrong with time. No matter how long I sat there, it was always 6:47 p.m. The second hand on my watch would tick forward, but then jump back, like it was stuck in a loop. I'm writing this now, and I can see out of my window. There's a runner coming down the street. Neon green shirt, my height, my build. He's going to turn into my driveway. And then, I think I know what happens next. I think I've always known. I found my running shoes by the front door. They're muddy, but I haven't left the house. My running apps show I completed my route 47 times today, all identical times. I think I need to stop running. My name is Sam. Jake and I have been running partners for 5 years. We meet every Saturday at 7 a.m. sharp at the old railway bridge. We run the 4-mile trail through Blackwood Forest and grab coffee afterwards at Mel's Diner. It's our thing, our routine. Last Saturday started normal enough. Jake was waiting for me at the bridge, bouncing on his toes like he always does when he's eager to get started. "Ready to crush this trail," he called out, same greeting as always. We took off at our usual pace. The trail winds through dense woods, crosses 2 streams, and loops back to the starting point. We know every route, every rock, every fallen log. About halfway through, Jake started telling me about his date from Friday night, some girl named Lisa he'd met at work. "She's amazing, man. I think she might be the one," he said, not even breathing hard despite our 7-minute pace. I was happy for him. Jake had been single for 2 years after his messy breakup with Sarah. He deserved someone good. We finished the run in our usual time, 28 minutes, 15 seconds. Jake checked his watch and grinned. Perfect. Coffee? At Mel's, Jake ordered his usual black coffee, blueberry muffin. I got my chocolate croissant and latte. We sat in our regular booth, the one with the cracked vinyl seat that Jake always complains about, but we sit in anyway. That's when I noticed something odd. Jake was telling me about his date again. The exact same story, word for word. Same details about the restaurant. Same joke about Lisa spilling wine on her dress. Same comment about thinking she might be the one. I interrupted him. "Didn't you just tell me this on the trail?" Jake looked confused. "Tell you what?" "About Lisa. Your date last night." He laughed. "What are you talking about? I don't know anyone named Lisa." The conversation felt surreal, but I let it go. Maybe I'd misheard him during the run. The next Saturday we met at the bridge again. Same time, same energy from Jake. "Ready to crush this trail," he said, bouncing on his toes. Halfway through the run, Jake started talking about his Friday night date with Lisa. The same story, told exactly the same way, with the same enthusiasm. This time I was paying attention. Every word was identical to the previous week. Same inflection, same pauses, even the same laugh when he got to the part about the spilled wine. At Mel's, when he started the story again, I cut him off. "Jake, you told me this exact same story last week and during our run 20 minutes ago." He stared at me blankly. "I've never told you about any day, and I definitely don't know anyone named Lisa." I pulled out my phone to show him our text conversation from last week, where he'd mentioned the date. But the messages weren't there. According to my phone, we'd never texted about any Lisa. The third Saturday, I was ready. I brought a notepad and pen. During the run, I wrote down everything Jake said about Lisa, every detail, every word. At the diner, when he started the story again, I showed him my notes. "This is what you told me 30 minutes ago, word for word." Jake reads the notes. Jake read the notes and his face went pale. "I don't remember saying any of this, but it feels familiar, like I've told the story before." "You have," I said, "multiple times." That's when I noticed something else. The other customers in Mel's were doing the same things they'd done the previous 2 weeks. Same conversations, same orders, same movements. The waitress dropped the same coffee cup at the exact same moment. It shattered in an identical pattern. I looked at Jake, really looked at him. His running clothes were pristine, like they'd never been washed. His shoes showed no wear despite years of Saturday runs, and now that I thought about it, he hadn't aged a day in the 5 years we'd been running together. "Jake," I said slowly, "when did we first start running together?" He frowned, thinking hard. I don't remember. Feels like we've always been running together. I checked my running app. It showed our last run as happening 5 years ago. The same date, over and over, every Saturday for 5 years. The exact same, 28 minutes and 15 seconds. Jake, I think you may be dead. Jake argued with me at first, but then he looked at me with the saddest smile I'd ever seen. I know, he whispered, but you keep coming back. Every Saturday you meet me at the bridge. Why do you keep coming back? I didn't answer him because I honestly didn't know. The next Saturday morning, 6:55 a.m, I'm walking towards the railway bridge and I can see Jake waiting for me, bouncing on his toes. I know what's going to happen. I know about Lisa, about the coffee cup, about everything. But I can't stop walking towards him. Some friendships are stronger than death. I've been running the Grand Union Canal towpath for 2 years now, ever since I moved to Little Venice. It's perfect for my evening runs, well lit in places and usually busy enough with cyclists and dog walkers that I feel safe running alone as a woman. My route takes me from Paddington Basin down to Camden Lock and back, about 6 miles in total. The first time I noticed him was 3 weeks ago. I was coming back from Camden, passing under one of those Victorian railway bridges near King's Cross, when I heard footsteps echoing behind me. Heavy, deliberate steps that seemed out of rhythm with normal running, too slow for jogging, too fast for walking. I glanced back and saw a figure about 30 meters behind me, keeping to the shadows under the bridge. Tall, wearing dark clothing, but I couldn't make out his face. Nothing unusual about that. Lots of people use the towpath for evening exercise. But something felt off. The way he moved was wrong somehow, mechanical, like he was forcing himself to maintain a specific pace rather than finding his natural rhythm. I picked up speed. So did he. I slowed down to let him pass. He slowed down too. When I reached the well-lit area near Regent's Park, I turned around properly. The towpath behind me was empty except for an elderly man walking his terrier. No sign of my shadow. The second time was worse. Same stretch of canal, same time of evening, about 7 p.m, just as the autumn light was fading. I was running my usual pace when I heard that distinctive footfall again. Thud, drag, like someone was favouring one leg. This time I was ready. I had my phone out with the camera app open, but when I turned around to film, the screen showed nothing but static, just grey and white noise, even though the phone was working perfectly. He was closer now, maybe 20 meters, still in the shadows, but I could see he was unnaturally tall, at least 6.5 feet. His limbs seemed too long for his body, and he was wearing what looked like an old tracksuit from the 1980s, the kind with shiny material that would rustle when you moved. But I couldn't hear any rustling, just that methodical thud drag of his footsteps. I ran faster than I'd ever run before, straight back to my flat and triple locked the door. The third encounter happened last Tuesday. I changed my routine entirely, deciding to run through Regent's Park instead of the canal. Safer, I thought, more people around, better lighting. I was halfway around the outer circle when I heard it. Thud, drag, thud, drag. The same mechanical footsteps, somehow audible over the traffic noise from the surrounding streets. I stopped at a bench and pretended to tie my shoelace, hoping he'd pass by. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him stop too, about 15 meters away. He just stood there, unnaturally still, like a statue. That's when I noticed his breathing. It was wrong, too loud, too regular, like someone consciously controlling their respiration. In 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, over and over, never varying. I looked up at him directly for the first time. His tracksuit was definitely from the 80s. Royal blue with white stripes, badly faded. But it was his face that made me gasp. It was completely smooth, no features at all. Just pale, waxy skin stretched over bone. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just that horrible mechanical breathing coming from somewhere. I ran, not jogging, not even sprinting, pure panic running, through the park, down Baker Street, not stopping until I reached the bright lights of Oxford Circus with its crowds of shoppers and tourists. When I finally looked back, he was gone. I haven't run since, but every evening at 7 p.m. I hear footsteps outside my flat. Thud, drag, circling the building, getting closer to my door each night. Last night I heard breathing in the hallway, that same controlled mechanical rhythm. In 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4. I pressed my ear to the door and listened. The breathing was right outside, maybe inches away from my face, with only the wooden door between us. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze, a voice muffled and distorted, like it was coming through water. Why did you stop running? I'm writing this at 6:45 p.m. The sun's going down, and I can already hear the footstep starting up outside. Thud, drag, thud, drag. I think he wants me to join him. I think that's what happens to the runners who disappear along the canal, the ones they never find. Update. The breathing is right outside my door now. I can see the handle turning. I'm going to have to run. My name is Susan, and I should have trusted my instincts. I've been getting weird texts for 3 weeks. Random numbers, always the same message. I see you running. At first, I thought it was some kind of spam or wrong number situation. I blocked them, but new numbers kept appearing. Then the messages got more specific. Nice blue Nikes today. You run past Miller's Coffee at 6:47 every morning. I like watching you stretch on your front porch. I reported it to the police, but Detective Morrison was about as helpful as a chocolate teapot. Probably some teenager messing about, he said, barely looking up from his paperwork. Change your running route for a few days. It'll stop. So I did. Instead of my usual neighbourhood loop, I started driving to different parks, different trails, random routes at random times. The messages stopped for almost a week. I thought I was safe. This morning I decided to try my old route again. Stupid, so bloody stupid, but it felt good to run familiar streets, to fall back into my routine. Down Maple Avenue, left on Forest Road, through the underpass and around Riverside Park. I was about 2 miles in when I heard the engine. A dark van driving slowly behind me, too slowly, matching my pace exactly. When I sped up, it sped up. When I slowed down to let it pass, it slowed down too. My phone buzzed, new message, time to stop running, Susan. That's when I knew I was in real trouble. He knew my name. I ducked into an alley between two shops, thinking I could lose him in a narrow passage, but when I came out the other side, the van was waiting, like he knew exactly where I'd emerge. I could see him through the windscreen now, thick, set man, maybe 40, with dead eyes and a smile that made my skin crawl. He looked down his window. "Get in, Susan, we need to talk." I ran, proper sprinting now, the kind that burns your lungs and makes your legs scream. Behind me I heard the van door slam and heavy footsteps pounding the pavement. He was faster than he looked. I turned down side streets, cut through gardens, anything to shake him, but every time I thought I'd lost him, he'd appear again, like he'd studied my neighbourhood, mapped out every possible escape route. "You can't run forever," he shouted, his voice echoing off the house. But I had to try, because I knew what happened to women who got into vans with men like this. I've read the news stories. I knew how they ended. I made it to the high street, gasping and stumbling. People everywhere, shoppers, commuters, safety in numbers. I grabbed the first person I saw, an elderly woman with a walking stick. "Please," I wheezed, "call the police. There's a man chasing me." She looked confused, concerned. "What man, love?" I turned around. The street was normal, busy, no sign of my pursuer anywhere. "He was right behind me," I insisted. "Dark van, big man." My phone buzzed. "Good run today, Susan. Same time tomorrow?" I'm writing this from the police station. Detective Morrison is taking me seriously now, at least. They've got officers checking CCTV, looking for the van. But I can see he thinks I'm making this up. Paranoid, hysterical. I've got to go home eventually. I've got to sleep. And tomorrow morning the sun will rise and I'll feel that familiar urge to lace up my running shoes. But I'm terrified that when I do, he'll be waiting. It's 6:30 a.m. I can see him parked across my house. Same van, same dead smile. My phone just buzzed. "Ready for our run, Susan?" I don't know what to do. The police said they'd patrol the area, but they're not here now. I think he's getting out of the van.